first seminar 2021. I'm Robert Claiborne, the president of Community Sailing. I want to thank all our members, prospective members, and others for attending and for your interest in community sailing. I also want to thank Fairfield Rec Department for their support and use of their facilities. This is Community Sailing's 25th anniversary, and we've been devoted to providing affordable access to sailing and kayaking on Long Island Sound and promoting boating and safety. It's a community-led and member-led organization, and we appreciate all the members, all their efforts over the years. Tonight's seminar will be led by Jenny Worcester and Michelle Kozlowski. Jenny is a community sailing member of many years and has been a sailing instructor and a teacher for many years as well. And she's also one of the best sailors on the Sound. Michelle is also a community sailing member and is co-head of the Community Sailing's kayak program. Thank you, and Jenny, for presenting tonight's seminar. This is our first Zoom seminar. Hopefully there won't be any technical glitches. If we are knocked off for some reason, be patient and we will log back on. If you have any questions, at the bottom of the Zoom page, there is a reactions button. You can raise your hand with the reaction feature, and Jenny and Michelle will answer questions at the end of their sections. The seminar should last around 50 minutes. Now, please everyone mute their computers and stop video, which will allow the presentation to run smoother. Thank you. Now, Jenny, please take the helm.
Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Great. Well, welcome to Community Sailing of Fairfield and the first of our Safe Boating Spring Seminars. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jenny Perry Worcester. I was born and raised right here in Southport, Connecticut, and grew up sailing out of Pequot Yacht Club in Southport Harbor. I went on to become a sailing instructor at various yacht clubs, schools, and universities, and raced in college and afterwards. And I continued to instruct and race to this day. I've been a member of Community Sailing Fairfield since it started back in 1995, and I'm happy to be able to help you become better, safer sailors in whatever way I can. This is the first of 3 Community Sailing of Fairfield boating safety seminars, which I'll be giving over the next 2 weeks. The first one is an orientation of the wind and weather, the boats, the harbor, and community sailing. Basically everything you would need to know prior to actually sailing and kayaking. The second one is how to sail, maneuver, and terminology, including points of sail, sail trim, tacking and jibing, and taking off and landing. And the third one is seamanship and what happens if situations, like it becomes windy and you want to reef, or you run aground, you're caught out in a squall, you have a man overboard situation, you have no wind, or there's a squall. Although they are required for all new members, I encourage everyone to come to all 3 as a refresher, which will be held via Zoom over the next 2 weeks on Tuesday night from 7 to 8. All 3 seminars will cover different topics of importance regarding safety. The first one is geared for sailors and kayakers. For more specific information, like how to join, see if this will come up. Like how to join, what our rules are, or how to reserve a boat, this can be found on our website. There are also great resources, including links to knowing the weather and tide, my training videos, the pertinent documents like the membership booklet, and all the PDFs. It is rich with information. Thanks to Melissa D. Martin and Nick Kennedy, who have worked hard at making it more understandable and user-friendly, with great photos and links. We are a volunteer organization, and there are plenty of opportunities to volunteer your time. Let us know how you can help. So just a little history of Southport Harbor, how we came to be, and an appreciation for the harbor that we sail out of. Mill River Village, now Southport, was settled back in 1639 and is part of the town of Fairfield. Between 1780 and 1850, Southport was a thriving coastal port on Long Island Sound. Its ships carried produce such as lumber, wheat, corn, rye, flax, and leather back and forth to New York City. The harbor consisted of 4 shipyards, the main one off Lower Wharf, 12 wharves, a tide mill, and several merchandise stores along Water Street, now Harbor Road. Picture farmers coming down with their oxen or horse-drawn carts filled with produce from up on Greenfield Hill and from as far away as Easton, Weston, and Reading, down to the ships ready to be loaded for New York. This happened once a week. By 1860, competition from steamboats and the railroad took its toll on prosperity. Resourceful shippers teamed with local farmers and businessmen to keep the port going. The Southport Globe onion, a high-quality onion, was developed and grown on Fairfield's hills, and it was shipped in the Southport market boats, keeping the harbor profitable until the end of the century. And just a side note, the onions, known for their health benefit, went to New York to be delivered to the soldiers in the army to ward off scurvy. How about that? In the 1890s, 100,000 barrels of locally grown onions, carrots, potatoes, and other goods were shipped annually from Southport Harbor. In 1920, Southport Harbor became home to Pequot Yacht Club and was used almost exclusively by its members for recreational purposes, particularly sailing. The harbor has always been narrow and shallow and in need of dredging. It was done by oxen and scrapers, with men dangerously waist deep in water in the early 19th century, right off White's Rock, which is where Yee Yacht Yard stands today. Fast forward to 1992, in order to receive federal funding for dredging, the town of Fairfield needed to open up the harbor to the public. And thus, community sailing of Fairfield was born. At first, there was pushback for fear of large numbers signing up, with parking an issue and an already narrow harborway, but the town finally agreed on allowing 2 sailboats in a trial year. For more on this, there's a great newspaper article on our website under About Us. Operated by its members under the auspices of the Parks and Recreation Department of the town of Fairfield, Community Sailing of Fairfield has been in existence since 1995, owns 2 Ideal 18s and 8 kayaks. There are currently about 60 members. Its mission is to provide affordable access to Long Island Sound and an inclusive community with shared enthusiasm for boating and fellowship. With all this in mind, safety is our top priority. We share the boats with one another, and there are only 2 sailboats and 8 kayaks. We need to keep our boats in good operating condition and be respectful of leaving it the way we would want it when we come down to use it. We need to be able to demonstrate that we know how to safely and efficiently get in and out of the harbor, which is narrow and often with traffic. The other boaters need to know that we know what we're doing to avoid a collision. We need to know where the shallow areas are, how to maneuver our boats when we are around motorboats coming in and out, what the right-of-way rules are in the harbor, and how to successfully get ourselves out the harbor and out of the channel into open water. Once in open water, it doesn't really matter how well we're sailing, just as long as we allow enough time to get back in on time for the next member with a boat in good shape. And we need to be mindful that we share this quaint residential neighborhood and Yee Yacht Yard with the public, the fishermen, the other boaters, the picnickers, and those just coming down for a stroll. We must behave appropriately and with courtesy as members of this organization. Southport was designated a local historic district in 1967. To learn more about its history, its architecture, and the people who lived here, there are walking tours offered by the Pequot Library. We are so fortunate to be able to sail out of one of the most beautiful harbors in the country, and I never take it for granted. So tonight's seminar is all about what to wear and bring, knowing the wind, weather, and tide, introducing the Ideal 18, knowing the kayak, knowing your own limitations, navigating the harbor, knowing the sailing boundaries, and the community sailing of Fairfield requirements. So this is a picture of a gentleman dressed to go sailing. He's got his hat, his sunglasses, his life jacket, And he's got the right footwear on, which is soft-soled sneakers or topsiders with good tread. He's got a duffel bag, and he's got in the duffel bag probably extra warm clothes in case it's cool on the water, maybe some water bottles, and a marine radio and sunscreen. So he's just got that with him, so he's prepared. By the way, it's always colder on the water than it is on land, so it's nice to dress in layers. So what to wear bring sailing? PFD, by the way, stands for personal flotation device. You want to bring wear soft-soled non-skid shoes. I said not black because you don't want it to scuff up the boat. You want to dress in layers and have foul weather gear ready in a duffel bag in case the weather turns on you. Hat, sunscreen, sunglasses. The sun's super strong on the water. Sailing gloves are optional, but to protect your hands with the lines, you might want to wear sailing gloves. Bottles of water, a watch or cell phone to know the time, and a marine radio for emergencies. And I just said leave jewelry at home because you just don't want to, it's safer at home. You just don't want to lose it on the boat. Okay, you also want to know the wind, weather, and tides. So every morning when I'm about to go sailing, I just look up at the sky and I just look at the trees and see if there's any breeze going through the trees, and look at the sky. And of course, I check the weather forecast. By the way, there's a nice resource on our website that tells us the weather and the tide that we can look into. I actually tune into Weather Channel. I have that app on my iPhone, and that's what I look at. And then you want to look at the flags on shore and on the water, and look at the radar if sky or forecast seems questionable. And by the way, Pequot Yacht Club is always monitoring that radar. So you can pop down there and ask one of the guys there in the clubhouse to just check the radar for you and see if they think that it's safe to go out. Because sometimes, the storm might go north of us and we'll be just fine on the water, but you definitely want to look at the radar if it looks questionable, and then refer to the tide chart. Wind awareness direction. The direction the wind is blowing from is a designated direction of the wind. Like a northerly breeze means that the wind's blowing from the north. An offshore breeze blows from the land toward the water. These are mostly northerly breezes, northeast, north, northwest, and west. It'll look like a beautiful day outside to go sailing, but beware. The winds are puffy, wind increases in velocity and bursts, so you have to be on your toes like lake sailing, and it's shifty. The wind frequently changes in direction back and forth as it comes across the land and hits the water. And this picture actually shows the breeze from the northwest. I don't know if you can tell with that flag, but the arrow definitely shows it's from the northwest in the picture. An onshore breeze blows from the water toward the land, and these are mostly southerly breezes, southeast, south, and southwest, and they are steadier and easier to sail in. This picture shows a southwesterly breeze, and that's what we'll find most common. An easterly breeze is usually accompanied by rain, waves, wind, and stormy weather, like we had the other day. Our prevailing breeze is now from the southeast, often building in strength and shifting toward the southwest in the afternoon. And by the way, our harbor runs northeast, southwest, which I'll show you this picture. So if you notice, the southwest is at the top, is the bottom of the picture. So if you're heading out into the southwest direction. And when we head back in up toward Pequot Yacht Club, there's Pequot Yacht Club right there. We're heading northeast. Okay, so we say northeast, southwest. And what I was saying before is it's often here in the morning when it's a little bit lighter. This is the southeast direction, and it slowly shifts into the southwest as the breeze builds. So sailing out from Ye Yacht Yard, this is the town dock that we sail out of. And because it's from the southwest, we need to tack back and forth to get out. And it's a short tacking back and forth. I say the distance here is about 70 feet, but you get up into this region and here, and you're talking about maybe 30 feet. So it's super, super narrow and zigzagging. I mean, you got to watch out for the shallow areas too, which I'll talk about in a minute. But that's what we're doing. We're tacking back and forth, trying to sail efficiently until we get out to the mouth of the channel. So we want to know the tides. I said, become familiar with reading the tide chart. There's a 6-hour rise and fall of the tide. Never sail at low tide, exclamation mark. Always stay in the channel. Avoid sailing within 2 boat lengths of the edges. Always let community sailing at Fairfield know that you've run aground or when you've run aground. so we can check the bottom of the boat. If you do run aground, first try heeling the boat over to lift the keel off the ground, and there are more tips in the third seminar. So here's a picture of the two Ideal 18 sailing. You can see it's just a beautiful boat, super comfortable. It's a great design. You see it's got an open cockpit area, so not a lot of lines around here. The main sheet's back here, and the skipper will sit back here holding onto the tiller. The crew will sit here, and then the lines that the crew will control will be right up in here by the mast. So it's just a beautifully constructed boat, comfortable. It's got an open transom, which is unusual for boats. So in the event somebody fell overboard, you could just pull them up over the transom. And that's about it. It's 18 feet long, and it draws like 3 feet. That's how deep the keel goes. All right, the safety equipment on board, you've got an anchor and line, which we hardly use. You have a throwable cushion, which we could use in the event of a man overboard situation. We could toss it to them. We have an air horn, paddle, in case we get becalmed, pump, first aid kit, toolkit, tow line, bucket, and sponge. The benefits of the Ideal 18, well, it's fun. It's easy to sail. It's stable. It's got a 700-pound keel, so it won't capsize. It's dry. It's comfortable. It's easy to rig. It can be sailed by 1, 2, 3, or 4 people. Most people sail it with 2 people. It has a spinnaker. It has a self-tacking roller furling jib. It's easy to steer. You can sail it recreationally or race it. So I'm going to show you a training video that I put together a couple of years ago, and it's really going to show what I've just talked about right at the town dock on our Ideal 18s. The first segment, I'm going to do it in small segments. So this segment is only about 15 minutes. So even if you've seen it before, I think it's worth looking at to refresh your memory with how to rig the boat and all. Okay, here we go. Limp right now, but it's starting to fill in because when I came down a half an hour ago, there's no movement in the flags at all. But if you look out on the water, we've got little ripples right in the harbor, but if you look beyond there, it's a sea of glass, right? And so I'd say to myself, well, I don't really want to go out there quite yet, but maybe I'll just sail right off that dock and sail in that area where there's still wind, because I certainly don't want to get out there and be totally becalmed. Okay, so we're always looking for either ripples on the water. There's a flag moving. It's starting to fill in a little bit. We can feel it on our face. The breeze forecast today is for southwest, south-southwest, blowing about 10 to 15. And the breeze normally builds in the afternoon. You know, it comes in slowly in the morning and then builds in the afternoon. So that's our forecast. Our wind right now, we can feel on our face, is pretty much coming straight down this harbor. The tide, you need to know the tide is high today at 10. Okay, so this would be an ideal time to go out between 10 and 12, or 8 to 10, but 6 hours later, what's 10 plus 6, 10, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's going to be dead low. So from 2 to 4, you'd run the risk of running aground. Okay, so you'd probably not want to take that slot, okay? All right, so let's head on down to the boats. With Community Sailing Fairfield, these are our boats. We have Goose and Gander, 2 Ideal 18s. We're down here at the yacht yard, and I'm here today to show you how to rig the boat and how to be able to cast off and land properly, and then how to securely put the boat away. Okay, today we have a beautiful day. The winds are light from the southwest and the tide is high, so it is a beautiful day to sail. Okay, so one of the first things you need to know is that our boats are secure by an M line, and I'll show you that M line right now. So we have a line that goes from the stern of this boat to the bow, to a midsection off the mast, back to our stern and back to the bow, and if you see, it forms an M. Okay, it's a pretty tight line. So the way you think of it is the very end of this line, I click into this nearby boat, and then I come to the bow here. There's a little ring at the bow, and then I go into this midpoint, and then I go back to the stern and back to the bow on that boat. When I bring my boat around, the last point of attachment is going to be the middle point. This is so tight. I do that point first, then I do this, and then I attach the middle. And on this M line, and we'll take a closer look at it when I unclip it, you'll see that there's a blue tape and a green tape that indicates which end goes toward the grass and which end goes toward the water. Okay, so I'm on this boat, I'm all by myself, and I want to go sailing. I think what I'll do is unattach from the stern first, okay? So I'll just unclip. Reese, can you see this green tape?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the green tape on this, if you all can see it, because I'm going to leave the M line on the other boat, indicates that this is a line, this is a part of the M line that should go toward the grass. All right? So when I go sail, I'm taking this outside boat, I'm going to leave the M line on this inside boat. Okay? So I would unattach from there. I would have this line in my hand, this is attached to the mast. I'd step carefully onto this boat. I'd unclip this. And I would just bring the boat around. Now I have to be very careful here. If I end up in the drink, we lose me and we lose the boat. So if you don't have an extra pair of hands, the important thing is pivoting it first. So now I'm facing a good direction, always holding on to something on this boat. I'll walk around the back of the mast, back of the boom, and then gently stepping aboard onto the dock and bringing the boat up. Okay? So I'll attach it to a cleat so that this whole boat is right here alongside the dock, okay? So I can attach it right to this cleat, that's fine. And then you'll see I have a stern line that I can attach. So now the boat is next to the dock and secure for me to be able to take the sail covers off. In order for me to get the sail up all the way, I want to position the boat into the wind or in close proximity to where the wind is. And generally the breeze is flowing straight down the harbor from the southwest, maybe a little bit south or southeast, but this is great. The only time I would hoist my sail from where I left off from is if the breeze is blowing from the country club, blowing from the east, okay? Then I could hoist from there. If you ask about the M line, the M line's gonna stay on this boat now. When this other person goes sailing today, they'll take the M line with them on the boat. They'll probably unclip it, you know, put it in their boat. When they come in from sailing, if they're first back in, they'll tie it to the dock and they'll clip it back in for me to clip in too. We never leave the M line on the dock, okay? All right, so, Chris, do you want to lend me a hand? Why don't you come back into the stern and just follow the directions here. Okay, we're being videotaped. Okay, so usually you'll sail with two people, and I like to be organized about how we go ahead and prepare to set sail. So you'll have one person coming right up to the bow, and you'll have the other person be responsible for the stuff inside the boat, okay? So Chris, in a minute, is going to be responsible for a couple things. He's going to be responsible for taking the mainsail cover off. He's going to be responsible for taking that little green line off that's attached to the helm, all right? But in order for me to get this jib sail cover down, he's going to have to first help me by releasing the line to do that. So let's do that slowly. Before you do that, Chris, I'm going to undo from here. This is just a zipper, and the mainsail cover is attached up here. And then he's going to release, it's the middle line on the starboard side. And that is actually our spinnaker halyard, and that's what's holding the jib sail cover up. So he's gonna make sure that's all loosey-goosey, all loose. And that way, I can unzip and pull down, and that's how I release the jib sail cover.
So that's something that's not really self-explanatory. You don't really know how to get this sail cover down unless you knew that step. So just think, most people are right-handed, right? So middle right, you like to be the middle child, right? So middle right on the starboard side, so middle right-hand line is the spinnaker halyard, and that's what's going to drop the jib sail cover, okay? So I'm responsible for this, making sure that it doesn't go into the water, okay? Bring it down. At some point I'm gonna get to here. It's still attached at the base, so I have to reach up here, staying on the boat, unzip, and then you have, this is the halyard. This is the spinnaker halyard. You never let go of halyards. Before I clip it onto the mast, and that's why we undid the mainsail cover first from the mast, I want to make sure that this is a clear line all the way to the top of the jib. It's clear now. Sometimes it might have a wrap. And you see the wrap in the jib, and then you go to undo the jib and bring it out, and it's not coming out because you have a wrap. So make sure that's clear. That's very important. And if you're going to use a spinnaker, you want it leading off the port side. So we hoist our spinnaker from the port side of the boat. All right, so then I clip it onto this ring, and then once I'm clipped, Chris will take up the slack. Hang on, Chris. Okay? All right, and go ahead and cleat that. Thank you, Chris. Okay, so now I'm going to, oh, that's fine, Chris, thank you. So now Chris is gonna go back there, and just from a seated position, he can undo the clips of the mainsail cover. He could take off the green line, but it's really important that if Chris stands up and moves, he tells me he's gonna move, because I'm just balanced on my 2 feet here on the bow, and it's pretty weight sensitive, okay? So he's just undoing the clips. He's undoing the green line. That's around the tiller to make sure that's off the tiller. And he's preparing to roll up the main. Now, I'm gonna show you this cool thing about the jib sail cover. It's got a little pocket on the bottom. So all you have to do is stuff the jib sail cover into the pocket. And that's really neat and tidy when you put it away under the bow. And also what's cool about this is that the top of the jib sail cover will be at the top of the bag when you want to hook back in again at the end. Okay, so at the end, you'll just clip this back into the halyard like that, and go ahead and zip around. Okay, Chris will store it. I want to show you for a minute how to fasten this halyard, okay? So why don't you guys come take a little closer look. So the way we do this is it's got this little pin and it's got this shackle. So I just have to pull back the pin and put it into that hole and release the pin. Okay? Like that. Everybody see that? So you just pull it back, it opens, pull it back, put it in, and then release, and it shuts, okay? All right, so Chris is on the starboard side, I'll be on the port side. Then we can roll back the sail cover together. And then you do this on a 40-footer, a 90-footer, you know, all the boats. You know, just roll back the sail cover. And at the end, it's actually secured here. Looks like there's this little line that we've secured it back to this line. And we just did a couple of half hitches to secure it in the back. Okay, this line, by the way, yeah, you secure both sail covers underneath the deck. This line is permanently attached to the back of the boom. We don't need to untie it. There's no line up there to release it. It acts as a preventer to prevent the boom from hitting the bottom of the boat when we release the sail, when we lower the sail. So you don't have to do anything. It's called a preventer. Sometimes it's called a topping lift, but not to be confused with the topping lift we use for the spinnaker. So that's like a preventer. Okay, so now we're almost ready to set sail. Then we do a little wind check again. Wind is still kind of coming down from the mouth of the harbor, from the southwest, a little bit to the left of that, so a little bit south-southeast. Chris is showing the telltales will show where the wind's coming from on the shrouds. So can we hoist the main from this direction? Absolutely. We just have to make sure of a couple things, okay? we have to make sure that before we undo the sail ties, because that's the next logical thing we're going to do, is we're going to undo the main sheet and make sure that this is loose. Okay, now we can undo the sail ties. Yeah, in a second. And a nice place to store these sail ties is in the boat, in the basket. There's a little basket underneath that holds our anchor. Okay, Chris, thanks. Yeah, awesome, thanks. Gonna hop on. Yeah. So now I'm going to hoist the main. The reason the main sheet is loose is that our main sail acts like a flag, and it automatically, if the main sheet's loose, it's gonna want to flap, it's gonna want to luff. So as I raise this boom's probably gonna come out a little bit. It's gonna actually position itself kind of into the wind, okay? And there are a couple more things to release as I raise it, so watch first, okay? The main halyard's at the bottom of the mast. It's right here. This is where your main halyard is. So it's at the base of the mast, okay? So we start pulling the main halyard, the main will start to go up. You're going to get to a point that you think, okay, I've pulled as much as I can, it's got to be all the way up, but it's not. If you look at the top of the mast, we still have a few inches to go. And you want to get the max sail area up because it's faster, you know, and it also raises the boom more. In order to get the mainsail all the way up, you have a loose main sheet. We loosen the boom vang. Make sure this is loose. And we loosen this line. This line is called the Cunningham or the downhaul. I actually release it out of the cleat and I pull from the other side, creating slack. Okay, now I should be able to get it all the way up. Watch to see if I do. Am I all the way up? Yep. Yes, I am. Okay, so that's it. So now that's great. I'm all the way up. The boom's that much higher. My main sheet's loose. My boom bang's loose, and my Cunningham is loose. And that allowed me to get all the way up. And a really nice sail shape in the front of the sail. I can take the wrinkles out. If it gets windy, I'll just pull down the downhaul a little bit and take those wrinkles out. All right. I want to just take up the slack on the bang. And I will start to pull the main sheet in when I want to start going, okay? Now you have all this line in the boat from the main halyard. And I'm going to show you how to coil that up.
I hope you found that helpful. So while that video was going on, did you notice a couple of boats coming in and out of the harbor? I think the first boat that we saw was a paddleboarder. That was at the very beginning. And then this beautiful sailboat was motoring out of Pequot Yacht Club, gorgeous boat. And then a motorboat was coming in. So it's important in the harbor. It's important in open water as well, but most important in the harbor to know who's got the right of way when boats come together. So with few exceptions, muscle power vessels such as rowboats, canoes, and kayaks have the right of way over sail and motorized vessels. So you kayakers have the right of way over the sailors, over the motorboats, very much so. However, that being said, if there's a lot of traffic going in and out, for your safety, it'll be best for you to be coming up the side, preferably the right side as you go out to avoid the traffic. Sailboats generally have right of way over motorboats, so motorboats should watch out for us and the sailboats, and motorboats usually must yield to both. Exceptions. Sailboats must yield to ships in narrow channels. So I know when I sail out of Black Rock Yacht Club, they've got this huge barge that comes in and out of that harbor. So you better believe that all the boats are clearing the channel when those barges come in. And then I know down at Indian Harbor, they've got, I think, a ferry that goes in and out of that harbor. So we have to watch out for the big ships coming in and out. All vessels, including sailboats, must keep clear when overtaking another vessel. And we see that too. When we're sailing out of the harbor, you'll have a boat under motor, a sailboat under motor, coming out of Pequot Yacht Club, coming behind us, from behind us. And they need to know which way we're going. They shouldn't try to pass us because it's too narrow. But they just need to predict which way we're going, and they should stay clear. They should just stay right behind us. A sailboat must keep clear of commercial fishing vessels with their fishing lines out. We have fishermen that fish off of both the lower wharf and yacht yard that we need to be mindful for. And sailboats must stay well clear of a boat displaying a scuba diving flag, which is a red field with a single white diagonal stripe from corner to corner. We won't see that much, but that's more down in the harbor amongst the boats. But that means that there's a diver beneath the boat. Yeah. So now Michelle is going to take it away and talk to you about the kayaking aspect of community sailing at Fairfield. Michelle.
Can you see me? I could stand up. So my name is Michelle Veslowski, and can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure. So just a couple things that I want to cover over. Number one, everything that we do for safety for the sailboats also applies to the kayaks. So all of the gear, what you wear, the personal flotation device. A couple things that I would highlight though. Number one, these are sit on top kayaks. You want to have those closed shoes, just like Jenny had said, for sailing, because they do have handles and things like that. And in the event you capsize, you don't want to have flip-flops or something like that that might cause your foot to catch onto the kayak. You want to be able to swim free. Number two, for the personal flotation device, each kayak, if you are taking out a double kayak with a child under the age of 18, both of you need to be wearing that personal flotation device. For the younger children, what I would recommend is one of the orange traditional flotation devices, which basically has a floating pad on the back side of it, those orange ones. And that's because when you're, the likelihood of you capsizing is extremely low. However, in the event of a collision, or, if you're in the channel and all of a sudden the weather takes up or whatever, and you flip over, it's going to take a couple minutes for you to get oriented. And you want to be able to have that child automatically flipped face up. Number two, what you want to do is you want to, if you have not had a checkout, schedule some time with me. And I guess Mike Harwood, right? Is that the new thing?
I think so.
Okay. And basically we'll do a checkout. We'll go through what is actually posted onto the Community Sailing of Fairfield website, going over all the safety procedures, the reservation system so that you can sign out the kayaks in advance, the log annotations, etc. The next thing that we do is also in terms of the kayak zone mirrors what we have for the sailboats. But when you're going out of the channel, you do not want to go down the center of the channel. You want to go either right or left. Be aware that sometimes you may have fishermen, so you'll go slightly to the center to get around them. The water is more shallow when you go to the right. If you go to the left where you have the country club, there is public beach just beyond where the country club is. So if you wanted to take a break, you want to kayak, take a break, you can go down to that area. And in terms of maintenance, if you have a leak or there's a problem with a paddle or whatever, please contact me or Mike so that we're aware and we can schedule the repairs. The biggest repair that happens on these boats is from dragging. So the other thing that I would remind everyone is we do have either carry the kayak with two people, or if it's just solo, we do have a wheel roller that basically can be inserted into the two holes on the kayak and brought down to the ramp. You put it back into the bin and lock the bin, and then you can go your way. We've had to replace a couple of the kayaks this year because people dragged them and formed holes. So those are the highlights for kayaking. Anything else, guys?
I think you covered it. And you know what? There's going to be a question and answer in the end, Michelle.
Yep.
So
Good.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
I'm going to have to try it. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. So know your limitations. I said the nautical term for the speed strength of the wind is called knots. 1 knot is 1.15 miles per hour. Beginner sailors should not sail in conditions over 10 knots. That's going to be usually in the morning is fine, or maybe early afternoon's fine, but often the breeze kicks up in the later afternoon. Intermediate sailors not over 15 and advanced sailors not over 25. The boats must not be taken out if the winds are reported to exceed 22 knots, or if there are small craft advisories posted, which would be winds up to 33 knots. Know the current wind and weather conditions and the forecast. Be prepared to sail in if it's too windy or the sky looks and or sounds threatening. Don't get yourself caught too far away going straight offshore. A good rule of thumb is to allow no more than an hour out and then start heading back. And it's usually an hour out and it will take you an hour to get back. So that's a good rule of thumb. This is a Buford scale that just shows the velocity of the breeze and what conditions you might find this in the surrounding area on the water as well as on land. So we don't go out over the fresh breeze, okay? Anything below fresh breeze. I'm not gonna be caught out in a gale or a hurricane, okay? So watch the sky. The weather can change quickly. And here are the navigational buoys that you need to know going out of the harbor. So generally speaking, green markers are kept to the right when leaving a harbor, and red markers are kept to the right when returning to the harbor, thus coining the phrase red right return. A green can buoy marks the right side of the channel leaving a harbor. It'll be green and have odd numbers on it. Did you know that? That's interesting. Green day markers are often used in shallow areas for the same purpose. And that's an example of a green day marker that's in the channel on the way out of the harbor. Number 7, so the water is very shallow to the right of that. A nun buoy marks the left side of the channel, that's your nun buoy, leaving a harbor. It'll be red and have even numbers on it. And then the red day markers are often used in shallow areas for the same purpose. And that's bell 22 that also marks, there's a huge reef right in here to the left of it. So we always stay to its right. Bell 22, that's one of our sailing boundaries. Okay, so thanks to Nick, he's drawn us a path to how to get out. Now, we're in sailboats, right? So we are definitely going to have to tack on the way out if the breeze is on our nose, right? Motorboats, they can just go right in the middle there and head right out. And the kayakers do, except for you guys should be off to the side. But anyway, the first thing you're going to see are these no wake buoys at the mouth of the harbor. You want to sail right in between them. To the left of this wake buoy and this outer beacon, and this wake buoy and the red nun, which will be out in here, that's super shallow now. So this is actually a good landmark as to where the shoal areas are. To the right of the wake buoy, same thing. I draw a line from the wake buoy to that green can, and I never cross it. I mean, I'm talking about low tide to mid low tide. At high tide, you have a little bit more leeway. And then as we get out further, you're going to see that marker 7, that green day marker. But anyway, you got the green cans here and the red nuns there. And there's probably 3 sets of them. I think there's one out there too. So there's like 3 more sets of these out there. So you just, that's the channel. And you want to go right through the channel until you get out into open water. So this is a chart that shows the same thing. If you're inclined to see it this way better, that's your red nun green can. So there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs of them marking the channel. And you can see the depths of the water. This is off the country club where Michelle was talking about. That's a really nice, safe place for the kayaks to go. And over here, this is off Southport Beach over here, 1 foot, half a foot. Okay, so that's exactly why we don't want to go there. So we'll go through the channel and then we're in like 11 to 15 to 20 feet of water and we're safe there. So know the sailing boundaries, sail out the harbor through the channel marked by the red nuns and green cans. Remember the 3 R's, red right return on the way in. Never sail down the harbor toward Pequot Yacht Club. Avoid sailing anywhere near the edges. I say within 30 feet on the way out, especially on the right side because of the shoal areas. That's about 2 boat lengths, okay? A little less than 2 boat lengths away from the edges. The sailing boundaries are marked by bell 22 to the southeast, P to the south, G to the southwest, and K to the west. And I'll show you where those are. So here we are. This is Southport's Harbor in here, Mill River. We came out through the channel. Okay, the first buoy that we're going to come to is A. That's just a Pequot Yacht Club racing buoy. The next mark, if we go this way, will be K. Again, that's a Pequot Yacht Club racing buoy, very shallow on the right side of it. In fact, there's a huge rock there at low tide that if you are like 6 feet away, I mean, if you draw like 6 feet, then you won't be able to go in there. Robert, I see you have a question. Can you hang on? We're almost done. Okay. So you want to keep this on your right as you go out. And then these are all Cedar Point's racing buoys. So you can kind of go by L, M, and N, then there's C. And if you get out this far to G, that's a green can that marks George's Rock. So we're going to stay between there and the shore. I'm sorry, we're going to stay this side. We're not going to go Bikini side. So you got Bikini Island in here, and you're not going to go down in here. So that's your boundary, G. And then if you go out here, that's P. You'll see P, and then B is Bell 22, which again, you can see how shallow it is on the other side, on the shore side of B. So we basically, it's this rectangle that we sail in and out of and around in and have fun in. So those are your sailing boundaries. And I hope that makes sense. And it's kind of fun. It's like a scavenger hunt to see if you can spot all those marks at some point. Okay. We who have been sailing a long time know that if the breeze is coming like from the southwest, it's pretty strong. We might just go out to B and back because that's a comfortable sail. And if the wind's coming from like the northwest this way, we might go out to here and back, you know, because we'd be on a reach, comfortable sail. So anyway. Okay, the community sailing and Fairfield requirements are, you must be 18 years of age and older. You must know how to swim. You must know how to sail and or kayak. You need to fill out the application and sign the waiver. That's for everybody signing the waiver. I think filling out the applications for those who are new to our organization. Everybody's got to sign the waiver. If you haven't already taken the safe boating course, you need to do that. So check out the DEEP website. I think it's the Department of Environmental Energy Protection, or maybe it's Energy Environmental Protection, but it's the DEEP website that offer these courses. And I think they're online now because of COVID. Read the membership booklet and become familiar with the community sailing at Fairfield rules and procedures. Pass a written test. That's for sailors only to do that. And by the way, all the information that I'm covering in these seminars will be on that test. So if you come to all 3 seminars, you'll know the answers. Plus, I show you the test at the end of the 3rd seminar. So if you have any questions, you know, you don't know one of the answers, I can help you with that. So that's at the end of the 3rd seminar. You need to pass the skills demonstration test on the water. Both the kayakers and sailors need to do that to show you know what you're doing. And then pay the annual dues. And we have these boats from the end of May to mid-October. So for a long time. So it's $395 if you're a full-time member, $295 weekdays only, and $295 for kayaks only. And there's a 10% discount for seniors, 62 and over. For more information, I just listed a couple of marine supply stores in the area. The Safe Boating course is on that DEEP website. My phone number is right there. If you want a private lesson, I'd be happy to give you a private lesson. You have to be a member to have a private lesson. And it's really for people that might have sailed a while ago, but want to brush up and really want to familiarize themselves with the Ideal 18s. So I'm happy to help out. All right. In case of emergency, I gave you the Marine Police's phone number, 911 or Marine Channel 16. I mean, I just read an article saying the Marine radio is the best in case of emergency to contact the police. So in case of emergency. So those are the numbers. And the Pequot Yacht Club's numbers are this, the 255-5740, or they monitor channel 69. So if you run aground and the tide's going out and all the kids are back in from their sailing lesson, just call the channel 69 and they'd be happy to come out and tow you in if you can't get off. So we have a nice relationship with them. That's it. So now I will take questions, and I just hope you really enjoyed this seminar. Okay. And I hope you'll come to the next one next Tuesday at 7 o'clock.